Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
I'm very happy to get the vaccine myself.
Long-term care residents in the hard-hit Fraser Health region get their first doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. Also,
we're really asking retailers just to make sure they're following their COVID safety plans.
Stepping up inspections as stores brace for a Boxing Day blitz of shoppers. And
throughout history, cats really occupied this niche of protecting us from rodents.
From mouser to mascot, the evolution of Vancouver's shop cats.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Good evening on this Christmas Eve as BC health officials report almost 600 new cases of COVID-19 in our province. The deadly virus has also claimed 12 more lives. But some encouraging news tonight as the first long-term care resident in the virus-ravaged Fraser Health region received the COVID-19 vaccine today.
Okay with going ahead with the vaccine? Oh, yes. Okay. Anyone? You're waiting for it. Okay.
77-year-old Andy Yoon of Abbotsford was vaccinated today. He says he's happy he was able to get it and can't wait to be able to see his grandson again. Fraser Health says as deliveries of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines increase in the coming weeks, more long-term care residents will be vaccinated. Meanwhile, our province logged 582 new cases of COVID-19 today. The case total is drawing ever closer to 50,000. The 12 new deaths announced today push our death toll over 800 for the first time, but hospitalizations are at their lowest point in weeks at 341 people. 78 of those patients are in intensive care. And there are almost 9,000 active cases in BC, the lowest that figure has been since the start of the month. Almost 8,200 people in BC have now received the COVID-19 vaccine. And the very first shipment carrying doses of the Moderna vaccine is now in Canada, 24 hours after it got the green light from health officials here. The plane carrying the initial batch arrived in Toronto from Paris. Moderna is the second COVID-19 vaccine to be approved by Health Canada. The federal government expects to receive 168,000 doses from Moderna before the year ends. Ottawa ordered a total of 40 million doses from the company. The bulk of it is set to be delivered through 2021. A second Fraser Valley mink farm has recorded COVID-19 cases amongst its animals. The province says 3 mink have tested positive and the farm is under a quarantine order. 23 mink have died there in just the past week. Mink are among very few animals vulnerable to respiratory illnesses like COVID-19. None of the farm's workers have tested positive. Well, could the Vancouver Canucks be playing games at Rogers Arena next month? Well, tonight, the NHL says it believes it has an agreement with provincial governments on the conditions for its Canadian teams to play games in their home markets this season. In a statement, NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly says, on the basis of our discussions in the past week, as well as our exchange of correspondence over the last 24 hours, we believe we are aligned and in agreement on the conditions on which each of our Canadian franchises can begin play in their own buildings for the start of the 2020-21 NHL season. The 7 Canadian teams will be grouped in one division and only play each other for the duration of the fixed 56-game schedule. It is slated to begin January 13th. The Canucks would play in Edmonton against the Oilers on opening night. If there is an agreement, Vancouver's first home game would be January 20th against Montreal. No word yet from BC health officials. Well, with more vaccine doses rolling out every day and several measures of BC's outbreak showing positive change, it seems our province is starting to move in the right direction once again, even if the going is slow. Our Susanna De Silva tonight looks at what sparked that change.
Pandemic or not, some Christmas traditions endure.
Just some last minute stuff, I guess, just kid stuff, yeah.
Do you normally wait till the 24th, or is that a tradition for you?
For me, yes.
It's also a year for some new ones.
People have actually said, I'm having a Zoom party. So they want their hair to look good for that.
My mom does this every year, and so I thought, why not do it myself this year? It's been a stressful year, so this is how I relax.
Businesses and customers in BC are grateful these are even options.
If we're shut down during the busiest time of our year, it's very hard to pay rent. So yeah, no, it's big. I think our province has done a great job.
Stores and restaurants remain open. Some fitness activities have resumed. Even ski hills are welcoming visitors, all while officials say BC's numbers are headed in the right direction.
As you can see, we have bent our curve slightly, and we're now perhaps on a downward trajectory.
Dr. Henry says diligent contact tracing has let them know exactly where to target restrictions, including banning in-person religious services and indoor and outdoor gatherings with anyone outside your household since mid-November.
There was a clear break sometime around November 15th. And so that was after that the combination of the restrictions on social gatherings and the mask restrictions could account for that.
But this professor says the current decline is still slow, and it could be a month or two before healthcare workers and contact tracers are fully caught up. And of course, the big worry, Christmas.
It's always on a knife edge, and here in BC I do worry that we might get overzealous in our holiday partying and the numbers might turn back up.
Though most say they will follow the rules.
Just quiet, me and my boyfriend. Probably just going to be making a dinner by ourselves and just hanging out and just calling my family from home.
The question will be whether in January the downward trend continues. Susanna Da Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
Like most things in 2020, holiday shopping has taken a pandemic twist. COVID-19 has thrown all kinds of curveballs at the retail industry this year, but the sector is ready, willing, and waiting to embrace customers ahead of what is usually the busiest shopping week of the year. And as Tanya Fletcher reports, inspectors will also be watching very closely.
So Boxing Day is going to look a little different this year.
Ann Pearson owns a local design shop that has so far weathered its most turbulent year yet. Normally they blitz shoppers with a big Boxing Week sale, but not this time.
Having a door crasher type sale where you have 30 people in the store at once all looking for a deal just seems really antithetical to the pandemic and social distancing.
Her store has capped capacity at just 5 shoppers at a time, so instead of trying to draw more people inside for Boxing Day, they're redirecting those deals online.
We have an online store that we have spent a lot of the last couple months uploading all of our products onto. So if we can find a way to help recreate that excitement online, then we can hopefully still have a successful Boxing Day.
She says online transactions have traditionally been just a fraction of their overall sales, but since the pandemic struck, virtual purchases now amount to nearly 20% of their business. It's one of a few trends rippling through retailers right across the country.
What we've seen over the course of the year very clearly is a very definitive change in shopping behaviors.
Aside from an uptick in e-commerce, retail analysts say the pandemic has also sparked a distinct new pattern of destination shopping.
They've pretty much got an idea of what they're going for. Maybe they've been on Instagram, maybe they've been on the website. They buy it, they buy a lot of it, they buy big sizes, so the basket sizes are big, and then they leave.
Foot traffic may be down, but COVID enforcement in BC is up.
It is a busy time right now.
WorkSafe BC has already done upwards of 21,000 inspections since March. Hundreds of inspectors continue to show up unannounced at workplaces to make sure pandemic protocols are being followed. And they're ramping up those visits to retail stores over the holiday season.
Sometimes the plans slip, and sometimes people, they forget to stay behind the barrier, or when they leave the barrier to go to the lunchroom, they're not wearing their mask, or they actually get too close to one another, and they don't intend to do it, but it's not a natural behavior, if you will.
And so the message to retailers is the same one that's encompassed 2020 as a whole. Stay safe and keep vigilant. Tanya Fletcher, CBC News, Vancouver.
2 wayward outdoor adventurers are safe tonight after getting very, very lucky while trapped on a waterfall in the North Shore Mountains. Mike Danks from North Shore Rescue says the team's helicopter was out last night on a completely unrelated training mission Members just so happened to spot the pair using their new night vision technology the team is piloting. They alerted RCMP, and rescuers were able to pull both hikers out of Suicide Creek north of Lynn Creek. Dank says if not for the night vision tech and the team's lucky find, things might have turned out much worse.
It likely wouldn't have been until the morning when we got a helicopter up during daylight hours that we would have located them. This is a game changer for search and rescue in British Columbia. We feel very fortunate to be on a pilot program with this technology, and we're very confident that it will save lives.
North Shore Rescue has responded to more calls this year than ever before. Dank says people need to prioritize safety as they head into the outdoors for physically distant fun. Careful planning, risk assessment, and the right gear, all ways to stay safe, along with informing others of your trip plan. Christmas Eve, and Nick Czernkovich is here now with the forecast. Nick?
Hi, Mike. Well, it is time for that all-important Christmas Eve and Christmas Day forecast. But before I get into it, I just want to stress again the special public avalanche warnings that were issued by Avalanche Canada. I showed you this yesterday, but I want to point out that there have been, highlighted in these blue dots, a number of avalanches already reported since yesterday. So the risk still very high in a lot of areas across both the coastal mountains and into the Rockies as well. Wind warnings in effect out across the coast. That's really about it in terms of the warnings. There is a system that's approaching that's bringing that, and what it will do for the lower mainland is really just bring rainfall. Now we're looking at rain showers starting tonight across Vancouver Island and then into Vancouver for tomorrow morning. As it pushes eastward, we've got snow through the higher elevations, and that's going to be the story as we head through Saturday and parts of Sunday as well. Closer look here. Expect to see rain showers moving into the Vancouver area tomorrow morning. Showers continue as we move through the day tomorrow, intensifying sort of Friday night into Saturday, some periods of heavier rainfall, and then tapering off again as we move through Saturday evening. All told with this, we're looking at about 20 millimeters of rain through tomorrow for Vancouver, and then as we head through the overnight period, about another 20-25 millimeters of rain. So we're looking at about 45 millimeters of rain in that area there, and similar amounts elsewhere. Forecast-wise for the region, temperatures pretty much about the seasonal mark, and then when you take a closer look there, we're looking at, again, seasonal temperatures, lots though in the way of rainfall to speak of. Now, the Christmas Day forecast, 7 degrees for tomorrow, and rain showers turning into steady rain. And that'll continue right through Saturday as well. Temperatures, though, at or above the seasonal mark. They drop down a little bit as we head through Monday. Bit of a break in the rain on Monday and more showers toward the end of next week. That is a look at your Christmas Day forecast.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Well, they are hard workers, great with customers, and are even allowed to take naps while on the job. Shop cats are hard to find in Vancouver stores, but they're human co-workers say they make for a more pleasant workplace, and their role is evolving. As Liam Britton tells us tonight, some shop felines have become equal part mouser and mascot.
Throughout history, there have been countless examples of hard-working animals, like Lassie, Rin Tin Tin, and Wilbur. Yes, Wilbur too.
Wilbur is a rarer breed of working animal, the elusive shop cat.
At East Vancouver garden supply store Figaro's Garden, Wilbur is a key member of the staff.
Wilbur is a great shop cat. He is extremely tolerant, doesn't mind kids petting him, pulling his tail, loves keeping a watch out over things.
In Vancouver, at least, the shop cat isn't a very common sight, but you can find them performing a variety of roles.
I do remember a few years ago him catching a few rats, which was quite surprising. You know, you have a big rat in the boarding left for you.
UBC professor Sasha Protopopova studies human-animal interactions, and she says seeing cats strictly as pets is a relatively new idea.
Throughout history, cats really occupied this niche of protecting us from rodents, from rodent infestations. And so cats were really the earliest and are still the earliest form of rodent control.
Today, cats like Marshmallow, who calls Windermere Market in East Vancouver home, is a mascot in addition to a mouser.
I always like a cat in the old neighborhood store, like in the storybooks. So we decided to get a cat. Oh, hello. I think it's very, very important because he keeps everybody smiling.
If the shop cat is a rare breed in Vancouver, so is the business that Marshmallow calls home, the corner grocery store. But there's one place where both are thriving. In New York City, family-run groceries, or bodegas, are a staple of neighborhoods, and so are the cats who live there.
The rise of like the popularity with the bodega cats has a lot to do with like the internet, the social media and stuff like that. So when you have the mix of both like cats and New York City, I think it's a good combo.
Louis Chin would know. The New York-based writer and illustrator wrote the book on bodega cats.
It's almost like they're part of the store. Like you walk in, you might see them, like one of the owners or something like that.
Of course, there might be another reason for these animals' popularity.
Definitely some giant-sized mice roaming around.
Back in Vancouver, cats like Richie and Ronnie are ambassadors at pet supply store Long Live Cats and Dogs.
A lot of people see them in the window and, want to get a pet, and so they come in and ask how much they are, and we sort of try and educate them that they're rescue animals and that they're equally awesome, just like any that you would get from the breeder, if not better.
Shop cats are elusive in Vancouver and, depending on health codes and the nature of the business they occupy, of dubious legality. But ask their owners and they'll tell you how valued they are as co-workers. Liam Britton, CBC News, Vancouver.
The United Kingdom and the European Union have reached a post-Brexit trade agreement coming up. Reaction to the deal agreed on just a week before the deadline. And thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream tonight. Well, 2020 has been a challenging year for cinema. Pandemic lockdowns meant giving up the big screen for home viewing from the couch. But there were still a lot of movies worth a look. Here's CBC film critic Eli Glasner with his top 5 films of the year.
Here are my favorites of 2020. Number 5, Nomadland. It's about listening and looking. It's about the face of Frances McDormand as Fern.
My mom says that you're homeless. Is that true?
No, I'm not homeless. I'm just houseless.
A widow who joins a modern-day tribe of nomads who left the rat race to search for something, uncovering characters as distinctive as the stark American landscape.
Just remembering.
Number 4, Wolfwalkers. A wild and woolly tale about empathy and enemies.
You can come out now. We can smell ya. You stink.
The only thing more expressive than the art style is the spirit of that furry friendship. Messy, manic, and marvelous. Number 3, Sound of Meadow. This isn't just the best thing Riz Ahmed has ever done. It's a masterclass in the benefits of inclusion.
Everybody here shares in the belief that being deaf is not a handicap.
Working with a cast of mainly deaf actors, Ahmed gives us the story of someone who loses his hearing but gains so much more. Number 2, Dick Johnson is Dead. Director Kristen Johnson was worried she was losing her father, so
she kills me multiple times.
Action! This is a film about dementia and memory, loss and love. It's about celebrating who we have while we have them. Absurd and surprisingly delightful. Number 1 is Mangrove. You may have heard about the Chicago 7, but how about the Mangrove 9? This is a film about the real-life case of community members charged with inciting a riot after marching to defend a West Indian restaurant in London from persistent police attacks. Mangrove is the first installment in a 5-part series from director Steve McQueen exploring the Black experience in England. Some may call this TV, but this 2-hour installment, which culminates in a courtroom showdown, is what cinema was made for.
This attack on a Black establishment is not an isolated event, but a sustained campaign against Black people.
Capturing the citizens, finding their voice, speaking out against the police and the entire justice system. The place and time and community and accents are specific, but the sense of speaking truth to power is universal and undeniable. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, back in just a couple of seconds, more COVID-19 news and word on the post-Brexit trade deal between the UK and the EU. After the first wave of people get the COVID-19 vaccine, there are some who say they should be next in line. As Rafi Bouchikanian reports, paramedics in Alberta say they can't understand why they aren't on the priority list already.
Paramedics face challenging situations.
You're constantly changing different environments. You're going from someone's house outside to the back of an ambulance where that's a confined place.
This respiratory therapist was the first Albertan to get a COVID-19 vaccine. But paramedics say they do the same kind of work, sometimes outside.
PPE is not as effective for us in that changing environments, right? You take -30, wearing a gown, what do you do, right? If you're outside, do you wear a jacket? Can that gown go over top of your jacket, or do you have to put that jacket over top of your gown? If you do that, now your jacket is contaminated.
Alberta has made public its priority list for who gets vaccinated first. Paramedics are not on it.
Who stands to be at highest risk of severe COVID disease and death? And then what groups who are in, essential worker positions.
This infectious disease specialist says distributing the shots is tricky while doses are limited, but she can see why paramedics should be a priority.
Because I would definitely support paramedics as being in line faster than me, honestly, because when I see COVID patients, I'm seeing them usually well into their illness and in a controlled setting.
Asked when paramedics could get the shot, Alberta Public Health offered no clarity.
I anticipate that decisions around those groups in phase 2 will be made at some point early in the new year.
For paramedics, that can't come soon enough. Rafi Bouchikanian, CBC News, Edmonton.
Well, the deal is finally done. The United Kingdom and the European Union have reached a post-Brexit trade agreement just a week before the deadline. Cindy Palm has more on the deal.
A deal had been hotly anticipated, with headlines in the UK reading Merry Brexmas, a reference to Brexit, the British exit from the European Union. Just a week before the deadline, the UK and the European Union finally hashed out a deal.
So I'm very pleased to tell you this afternoon that we have completed the biggest trade deal yet, worth £660 billion a year, a comprehensive Canada-style free trade deal.
Johnson says the free trade agreement will mean no tariffs and quotas with the EU. A new points-based immigration system will also be implemented, ending the free movement of people between the blocs. The European Union acknowledges negotiations have been difficult.
It was a long and winding road, but we have got a good deal to show for it. It is fair, it is a balanced deal, and it is the right and responsible thing to do for both sides. I know this is a difficult day for some, and to our friends in the United Kingdom, I want to say, parting is such sweet sorrow.
She says there will be a 5.5-year transition period for the fishing industry. During negotiations, both sides were at loggerheads over how much fish EU boats could catch in British waters. Despite Brexit, the two sides will continue to cooperate on issues such as climate change and security. The Brexit saga started in 2016, when the UK shocked the world by voting in a referendum to leave the EU.
I will be advocating vote leave, or whatever the team is called.
The UK officially left the EU in January of this year. Since then, both sides have been hashing out new rules for trade and travel. This divorce means the end of a union that was established with the goal of unifying Europe. Cindy Palm for CBC News, London.
Well, the pandemic has made Christmas caroling hard this year, but one Vancouver woman has found a safe way to do it. We'll find out how next.
In British Columbia, of course, they don't expect a white Christmas. They just hope it won't be raining like it is today. But they grow many of the things that we use for Christmas decoration. so much so that they may now be called the Holly Centre of Canada. From farms like this one belonging to Colonel R.H. Richardson, about 50 tons of holly will be shipped to every city and hamlet in Canada. The holly is packed in cello bags, and though you may get your fingers pricked getting it out of the packet, they've found an ingenious way of putting it in without any serious injury to yourself. Packing holly the easy way. And this is the way you will be purchasing it this week in the stores. Now, the holly industry in British Columbia has become so important that the Victoria Chamber of Commerce sponsor a special holly day, giving out thousands of button ears to Christmas shoppers in the capital city.
The Hudson Elementary School Choir, more than 30 children strong. Tonight they draw duty on a boat built before their parents were born. The Harbor Princess will lead tonight's procession of carol ships. With the kids aboard, the Harbor Princess is dry, but there is plenty of libation available on the other 3 ships that leave the Harbor Ferries dock. These are popular cruises. In fact, all the tickets are gone with the exception of a dinner cruise aboard the larger Britannia. People try for years to get tickets for these outings.
We've tried for about 4 or 5 years to get on one of the carol ships, and we've either been too early for tickets or too late for tickets. So this year, compliments of one of our apartment dwellers, he got us tickets to get on the boat.
If you have a boat and want to put Christmas lights on it, you can join the caroling procession. There are more than 50 boats participating in tonight's cruise. It's come a long way since George Wainburn and some others put together the first cruise back in '61.
No, when we started, the fellow loaned us the ship, and it was the Northland Princess. I remember it held 65 people. It was just a small ship, and we went out back and forth in front of the bay shore.
Changed quite a bit now, hasn't it?
It sure has.
The Market Report is brought to you by Fortis BC. We've got even bigger rebates.
Rebate.
Whoa! On select high-efficiency equipment for business, but only for a limited time.
Well, caroling is one of the countless holiday traditions made more difficult by the pandemic. But a professional pianist in Mount Pleasant has found a way to spread joy and stay safe while doing it.
Yeah.
The idea behind the Carol Corner is pretty simple. Buzz Perry Low on her phone and pick a song from the list. She'll play from her living room and you can sing along or just enjoy the music. The most requested song might surprise you. It's Jolly Old King Wenceslas, which is also hard to say. Lowe says this project's been a joy for visitors and for her.
Creating this opportunity to create music and with a nice clean window between us has been a little outlet, and to still collaborate with musicians and friends. It's been important.
Lowe plans to play right through the end of Boxing Day. Very nice. Well, a reminder, you can also watch our newscasts live on CBC Gem, and CBC Vancouver is also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Going to leave you now with some photos of people out and about enjoying the pretty sunny Christmas Eve day here in Vancouver. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Be safe and have a fantastic evening.